Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I welcome all of you to this focus session on diversity and inclusion. I represent SPDNI committee as a chair today. My name is Sadaf. I will be your moderator for today's session. So the mission of Diversity and Inclusion Committee within the SPE is to propel SPE's unwavering commitment to diversity and inclusion throughout the oil and gas industry by fostering collaboration and through education. SPDNI Pakistan Committee is a focused platform that promotes women who are already working in the industry and also creating a platform for the next generation of women who aspire to join this dynamic sector of oil and gas. So today on this focused panel, we have our speakers with global experience as well as leading NOC and services companies with us. I will give a brief introduction to them and then we will move forward with the questions. So today we have with us Fawzia Ahmed. She is Chief Human Resources Officer with Mari Petroleum Company Limited. She is currently working with MPCL, where she is leading the strategy, design and execution of human capital blueprint and complex change management initiatives. Prior to joining MPCL, Fawzia has served in HR leadership roles in diverse industries with Hashu Group, PTCL, IGI Finance Services, ENI and MOL Group. She has developed, executed, and facet all of human resources strategy, including company culture, talent management, leadership, organizational planning, diversity, equity, inclusion, resulting in sustained long-term value for business and employees. With the majority of her experience within the oil and gas sector, she is a strong advocate for empowering young female engineers in STEM roles. She has been actively utilizing the platforms which promote DNI initiatives as a panelist in Get Tech Global Conference UK on the subject of unlocking gender equity, won the Education Partnership Award for one of the major industry players. She is enthusiastically working on the strategies to promote DNI in her current organization. And then we have Jackie Hoffman. Jackie is Regional Activities Manager with SP MENA. She is currently based in SP Abu Dhabi office, where she supports as a Senior Regional Activities Manager to SP MENA and South Asia region, and also as a Member Programs Eastern Hemisphere Team Leader. She has the privilege to work with all of us as volunteers, students, and professionals with SP for past 9 years, and she has been included in the major programs and conferences like EDIPEC, GoTech, and IPTC. Prior to SP, she has worked at the University of British Columbia in Canada with the alumni engagement and fundraising. She has also volunteered with Commonwealth Games in Canada and as a race manager, as well as YWC, a mentorship program, as a mentor. She holds the bachelor degree in geography and international relations from UBC, and also her project management certificate from UBC. Then we have Fizza Naqvi. Fizza is the job delivery lead at SLB. She is a dedicated professional currently working with SLB. Fizza has spent her past few years immersing herself in the dynamic world of oil and gas operations, gaining valuable experience as a field engineer in all across Pakistan. Her journey has been marked by genuine commitment and learning and development. Fizza is passionate about championing gender diversity and inclusion within the traditional male-dominating realm of oil and gas. Through her advocacy and support, she wishes to actively encourage and empower female professionals to thrive and success in the that was previously considered as a challenging environment for women. So without ado, I would move forward to our guests and we start a discussion on this gender. So our today's theme will revolve around the challenges and the support system that we have within the Pakistan's oil and gas sector. So I would like to welcome you all, and I'll begin the questions from Fawzia. So I would like to ask you, Fawzia, what obstacles or resistance that you have encountered while championing DNI within your organization, and how have you navigated them?
Audible? Yeah. Thank you, Sadaf, for the kind introduction. I think the topic of DNI is not something specific to just one organization. It is, I feel that this is something which ranges from societal stereotyping and societal barriers to all the way ranging from lack of support structures towards minority groups. So ranging from that, if I look at it, and if I look at it specifically with regards to this industry, if I look at it with regards to this particular industry, in the recent years, things have moved in a positive manner. We see more representation in young engineering roles. We also see more representation in, or some representation in leadership roles, but it's still a long way to go. Coming to, if I talk about Maari Petroleum and what kind of obstacles or challenges we have faced in this particular area, first of all, it starts from the commitment from the leadership. So the way you can work towards removing those obstacles and hindrances is that it becomes a business imperative. It's not something which is merely a tick box exercise that you want to do and you want to hire certain minority groups or female percentage or gender equity, but it's a larger topic in itself, and it has to have the commitment from the top team. So at Maari, it is linked in, with our business strategy. It is a core part of our business strategy. Also, it reflects in our business scorecard, and then it cascades down in individual respective KPIs as well. So it starts from there. Then moving forward, how we have further taking this forward is that we have started conscious effort towards enhancing our bench strength and internal bench strength with regards to succession planning and keeping D&I in the forefront of succession planning. We are enhancing our internal bench strength in middle management roles and also in our starting roles, where we have inducted I think the last cohort that we have of our management trainee program, 24% were female engineers. So that's the kind of commitment we're showing, and these females are working in both field and office locations. And of course, we have provided them the facilities, and we are looking towards our, we already have reviewed and revised a lot of our policies in line with the D&I vision that we have. To name a few, we have a daycare center available for all working women at Maari. We have very strong and specific anti-discrimination and harassment policies at work. We run gender sensitization trainings and awareness across the organization. We have extended our maternity leave further compared to what is legally required. We've started paternity leave, so flexible working hours for as and when required for female staff. So a lot of things as organizations we need to customize, and we need to move towards creating an enabling environment which supports not just gender but also any other communities that we work with, which need to be engraved and involved in our business on a day-to-day level. So those are some of the things we've done, but I mean, we can further talk about more.
Yeah, thank you, Fazia. That was really insightful. I'll move to Jackie. So Jackie, you have worked with the students and then professionals, a lot of volunteers. I would like to ask your opinion on how do you think that management plays a role in setting D&I throughout the organizations and also including the field?
Thank you, Sada. Am I audible?
Yes, you can press it.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, Sadaf. So thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be able to be on this panel and to be here at this event. I'll preface this just by saying that SPE, we support a lot of the sections, a lot of the companies, members in the region, and we work with the International D&I Committee, with the regional D&I committees. So a lot of our observations actually come from supporting that committee and working with those members like yourself, Sadaf, who's on the committee, and volunteers. And all of the observations that kind of I will just briefly speak about, Fauzia touched on exactly. So it's perfect that we're kind of coming to this. So in terms of from management, the way we kind of see it is that it kind of unfolds into a twofold kind of area. So you have creating an environment in the company that is inclusive, that is comfortable, that fosters an area where people feel comfortable to be in. And the other part of it is more of a structural side of things. So in terms of the environment, you know, what you want to do is you want to be creating an environment where you're listening, you're empowering your employees, You're creating somewhere where people feel comfortable to work, people feel comfortable coming to your management, coming to your colleagues to speak about different things. At the same time, we also want to be able to celebrate diversity and inclusion and not just tolerate it. So, you know, it takes time. There's all these structural things we do put in, as you were speaking about, Fauzia. But it's also about celebrating and not just tolerating. On the structural side of things, which really helps to support all of that, you know, you want to have clear reporting structures, you want to have goals, you want to have KPIs that you kind of stick to and adhere to from the top down, because then this will help foster, you know, comfortable working environment. Fair hiring practices, fair promotion, availability and opportunities, and of course training and development, which you spoke about. So creating training and development for all employees to understand exactly what diversity and inclusion is and how to work within a framework that fosters a very comfortable and open environment. On the flip side of things, you know, management can do as much as they can to implement these kind of things. What does have to happen on the other side is that the people working, the members, the employees, they have to seek out these opportunities and capitalize on them. So I have already had some interesting conversations. Earlier yesterday, Maywish from the section, she was telling me that, you know, she's one of the only female engineers in her company, and she's had to go through a few trials and tribulations, but she's learned from that, and there's now a younger generation coming in, and she's working on mentoring those people. So it's also about not just management creating those opportunities, but people you know, coming into working and being that leader, being that management, and being the mentor. And then one other observation I'll just quickly make is Fizza, who's on the panel here with me, we actually go way back, at least 5 years. So Fizza was a student, and as Sadaf was saying, we run a lot of university programs where we bring our students over for different opportunities. Fizza was a student about 5 years ago. She took that opportunity as a student to expose herself and get out there. And clearly, since those 5 years, you've taken a lot more opportunities. You're now in a very amazing position, and you're on a panel. So it's about seeking those opportunities, and then, of course, you know, passing them down as well to the people who come after you, which is kind of what you were saying as well, Fauzia, about, you know, it takes time to pass those on, mentor, and in time, the paradigm shift will happen. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie. I mean, a lot of examples that you've quoted in your conversation. So let's move on to Fizza. So you have worked as a field engineer, Fizza. Tell us about your experience, I mean, some of the specific obstacles that you have come across and how you have overcome them.
Hello. Thank you, Sadaf, for the brilliant question. So one of the major challenges that we as female field engineers do face in the field is a general perspective of women that they're not supposed to be in technical roles or roles that are physically demanding. A lot of times people would say from different companies, different backgrounds, they would say, why are you in the field? Why are you not working in the office? Or you should shift to the office as soon as possible. But to overcome this challenge, it's always been, you just stayed resilient. I stayed resilient. I did not listen to those people. There's also a lack of visibility of women in the industry as well. There are women in the industry, but like I did not know them. Like we were talking about mentorship programs or women who are mentoring other women. When I joined the company, in my own segment, I did not have any female engineer who was senior to me or who was even working with me that I could look up to. So this is one of the challenges because a lot of the times the challenges a female faces at the field are very different to any challenge that a male can face, right? Some of the other challenges are a general reluctance to have female on the field, right? A lot of companies are making these public statements about including gender, and there is a very strong push from the top management to get more females in the industry. However, at the bottom line, when we see at the front lines, it also needs to be pushed because there's a lot of people you'll see that are reluctant to have women in these technical roles. Apart from this, there's a general lack of facilities that are dedicated for women in the field, such as separate accommodations, such as separate restroom facilities. And these are some things that, you know, which is something that I as an individual cannot overcome, right? This is even when I'm on the field, a lot of my male colleagues would help me out whenever I would face problems, right? However, there's a problem in the entire structure, right? In the structure of the industry, and that needs to change, right? We need to change the system from its core, and every individual can make a difference, but the system also needs to change and to be more accommodating to females and be more female-friendly.
Yeah, that is very insightful. I think once somebody shares their personal experiences, we all get to know that these are also specific problems that one can go through. So let's have some discussion on some of the best practices to address this resistance and how to overcome these barriers to promote more diversity. I would request Fozia if you can share your thoughts on that.
With regards to best practices, I think there are a lot of things that we need to focus on. Like, for example, I mean, I would begin with the first one, which I feel is of vital importance, like when we talk about pay equity. That's an issue globally, but what companies need to do is that they need to have policies, remuneration policies, which are equitable. So regardless of who is the incumbent in the role, there shouldn't be pay gap. Even if it exists, they should be at least open and honest about the topic, and they should be running, companies should be running equity analysis, pay equity analysis to see where are the gaps and make an effort to fill those. But there are a lot of companies which are equitable as well, because jobs are based on job evaluations and job scope, and it doesn't matter who the incumbent is, who is holding the role. So that's one area that I think that's that's a starting point. Other things is, how do we remove, I mean, a good practice is, regardless of what we do, I mean, there is this unconscious bias, and that becomes, and that's a real threat to this entire topic and this entire drive of how we make a world which is more equitable or equal for all. So that in itself, I mean, how we incorporate that in our recruitment practices, how larger organizations or good companies are already moving towards things in terms of shortlisting, in terms of interviewing skills, how they remove the unconscious bias in that process. I think that's a thing that companies need to adopt and move towards, which will definitely ensure a better inclusion at all levels in all industries. I think another thing in terms of best practice would be that we celebrate differences, as I think Jackie also mentioned earlier, that, like, you know, we acknowledge different religious, cultural holidays, and we celebrate differences. We acknowledge, and it's not just tolerance, as you said, it's also welcoming different opinions, because it's not just diversity of gender, but it's also cognitive thinking and the diversity, different point of opinions, valuing each other, valuing each other's opinions, and sort of channelizing that energy for a better outcome for the organization that you're working with. So at least those are some that I can think of on top of my head.
Yeah. I will have a last question from the panelists. Fizza touched upon the system, so let's have some discussion on how the management can hold themselves accountable for fostering D&I into the oil and gas entire ecosystem. So if Jackie, you can share your thoughts on that, or I mean, then maybe we can request Fozia and Fizza as well.
Thank you, Sadaf. That's a very good question. What I can speak to is I can speak to kind of how SPE can help to support. So, you know, obviously we can't necessarily go into companies and see what management is doing, but what we can do is we can listen to our members, and we can see what it is that they exactly need to help foster more diversity, inclusion, best practices. What kind of programs can we put together? What kind of opportunities can we put together for our members to work with outside of their company's environment? So for example, Fizza mentioned mentorship, and mentorships come up quite a bit. You know, mentorship tends to be quite an informal practice that happens between colleagues. Maybe it's a matter of listening to our members and saying, you know, maybe it's about time we need to formalize a program that creates mentorship around diversity and inclusion, for example. So I think in terms of best practices in that area, what we need to do is really listen, and also from a management point of view, they do need to listen to their employees, and not just listen and then, you know, let it kind of write off, but listen deeply and see what it is that people are needing and people are wanting to be able to advance and be able to work in an environment that is inclusive.
Right. This was all from the question side. Let's move to the audience and listen to them if they have anything to ask from our panelists, if they have any questions regarding the DNA committee as well. Can someone pass on the mic, please?
Hello. Yeah, this is Mushtaq from KC EduTech. My question is Ms. Fozia, in the beginning of when she started, she used one word, gender sensitization. I would like to know more about that word. What does it mean? And she talked about trainings, gender sensitization trainings. How can it be done? How can this term be achieved? Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for the question, please. Gender sensitization is not just for male colleagues or male part of the society. It's something that we need to run across organization for all genders. This is again a topic because, you know, it's something which is, as I said, ingrained in our societal beliefs and the way we have been brought up. So from our families, and it's something that again unconsciously maybe we behave in a way while working with a peer or with a colleague, which is probably engraved in our upbringing. So gender sensitization, in simple words, is the kind of training that would make you think around things and look at the same, like, you know, from a different perspective, putting yourself in another person's shoes and thinking that maybe how that comment or how that little note could have affected another person. So again, these are very small pieces of things we do on an ongoing basis, and it's not, I would again repeat, it's probably not just a male colleague doing this to a female colleague. It could even be a female to female or a male to male. So it's something that we need to be wary of, and we need to be conscious around. And there are formal organizations that provide these awareness sessions. And again, if you need more details, I can share that with you that would be helpful to you for your organization. And it's also something that we need to do across the organization at all levels, to build that commitment from the top management, and then to have it cascade and a top-down and bottom-up approach both ways, so that it kind of runs smoothly within the organization. And I think it would definitely create a more enabling environment for all employees and all stakeholders. Thanks.
Thank you, Fozia. Any other questions?
Assalamu alaikum, ma'am. First of all, I'm a great fan of you. Your contribution to HR section is quite remarkable to whatever organization you was. With respect to D&I, inclusion, I 100% agree with you. A lot of things needs to be done in almost all the organizations. But with respect to diversity, and especially with respect to the hiring of female staff, don't you think that it's an insult to the talent of female staff that we are saying that we are hiring them only for the purpose of diversity? Because I think you are talented enough that we should not say that female staff is only being hired for the purpose of diversity, ma'am.
I don't think that's definitely not the point. It's any position is the skill set that's required. So when I said to improve our hiring practices, or when I mentioned, that's what I meant unconsciously. There are companies who don't even share personal information of the candidates, whether the name or the address, the gender or age or anything around, or even where they belong, from which city they are or which country they are. So those are the things which kind of remove the unconscious bias. So if we kind of slowly move towards those practices and processes, then you're only matching an incumbent to the skill set that's required. That has nothing to do with whether it's a male or a female. Again, maybe when we talk about gender, we only do that to encourage, because as Fiza mentioned, that some of the organizations do not have an enabling environment. I mean, I'll talk of my personal experience. I used to run the trainee programs with ENI long time back, I think around 15 years ago or even longer. And I went to UET Lahore, and they had the top 10 students were all from chemical engineering, were all females, mostly were all females. And the industry was not ready. I'm talking, I think, 2003 or 4, to induct them, because they did not have the facility in the fields to actually send them to the fields. So it's been a long journey, and companies have come a long way, and there are now a lot of organizations. Then I was working with another group with MOL, we were the first ones to send female engineers to Karak at our field. So again, these are barriers that we need to continuously break. And now with Mari Petroleum, as I mentioned, we have 24% of our fresh young graduates as female engineers, because we provide them an environment where they can work equally well with male or female. So that is nothing with, it's again, as I said, it's not a tick box. We're not only hiring females to tick some KPI, we are hiring them for the value they bring, because they're competent in the roles that they're delivering. Thank you.
Thank you, Fozia. Any other questions?
Assalamu alaikum. It's Nabila from OGDCL. I want to ask from the panel that how can organizations can take effective measures for D&I initiatives? I mean, if you can share your insights on this. Thank you.
Okay, so just to clarify the question, you're looking for how management can create managers that are looking for open D&I initiatives.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great question. So I think that this is somewhere where organizations like SPE and external organizations can assist with. There's a lot of opportunities out there that management can seek to get training on how to bring the D&I training and development into their companies. So volunteering with different initiatives like the D&I committee, like Sadaf is part of, I believe is part of or will be part of, is seeking those opportunities. So as we said earlier, you have the top-down approach, but you also have to incorporate the bottom-up approach. So whilst the opportunities can be created by external organizations, it is up to those individuals to seek those opportunities and then make time and make space to be able to take them in and learn from them. I think maybe moving forward, I think that a lot of organizations can maybe do a better job about showing what is available. Sometimes it is difficult for management in companies to seek what those opportunities are. So perhaps we can all do a better job about putting forward what is available, because it also does take a lot of time to seek that, because people are doing those outside of their regular job. This is a volunteer thing, so people are doing these trainings, development, volunteering outside of their regular job. What also maybe needs to happen internally is they do need to communicate with their company that they are doing this outside of their regular working hours, and their company should hopefully be able to make space for them to seek that extra training to bring back to their company. So I hope that kind of answers your question a little bit. Thank you.
So with this, I think we are dot on time. I would like to thank SP Pakistan. I would like to thank our speakers for this session, and each one of you for making this an active session in terms of participation. So thank you very much, everyone. Till we see you next time.
Of course.